So the question for today's assignment was how much would you pay for an extra year of life? Well, that was a great uh, podcast that I listened to, and it actually made me think about questions that on a normal day you don't like think of. When you spend your day every day just doing things, going out, you know, just living life generally, and yeah. So listening to that podcast brought me back to like deeper questions, like for real, like, and some of this and that question in itself a lot of times is viewed as, even when asked, is viewed as either something that you should not ask. People like frown upon that, like, why should you say that? Or some people just, or most people, other people just say, anything, like, life is worth, I would spend anything just to live another day. But then the reality is it's not really the case though, because listen to the podcast, when they try to, like, the host went out to get like a survey, you know the responses were totally far apart. Like, some people said $7, some people said $1 million, and then it makes you realize it's a very, I guess it's a personal question, like, and then it's not just about how much would you spend for a year. Also, the other question is, what's the quality of life within that time frame? Like, what's guaranteed and what's not. Like, are you just spending an extra year while you're bedridden, or are you spending an extra year where you can do things that you've always imagined, that are beyond your regular life capacity? Like, what does that really cover? Like, does that mean you would never be sick, you can't die, or you know it just means you cannot die from that particular illness within that extra year? But if you don't pay for it, then I mean, the illness probably would take you out the same day. So it's a very deep question, and it makes you ask yourself, like, all of a sudden you find yourself placing value upon your life. Like, there's a price tag to everything though, which is something most people don't tend to agree with, or entertain that conversation. But after listening to that podcast, man, I don't know, like, it all depends on what the quality of life will be. Now, uh if that question itself does not guarantee you know anything else other than just guaranteeing that that illness in particular, that medication cures, would save you, then would prevent you from dying from that particular illness, then I don't know. It might not be so much worth it, because I don't know, honestly. And then listen to the other aspects of the podcast that they talked about, like, cost of medication, and um, pharmaceutical companies, and how, they place prices to certain medications, knowing full well that, I mean, you can't get it elsewhere. You either get that, or you live with the disease for the rest of your life, or you might die. It just, it's really, it questions our ethics. And it's kind of like, it reminds me of the video we what the podcast we watched on uh, uh um genomics or something like that. And yeah, at what point, is this a business? At what point is this to save humanity? At what point is this just a profit making company? At that, I don't know. It's just, I guess pharmaceutical companies are the big bad wolf. It's hard to beat them. They're like Thanos. I don't know. It's that's my own contribution.